Thank you, Joshua. Hello, everyone. Haifa Group is proud to welcome you all and appreciate very much your participation in today's webinar. The webinar will be presented by myself, Gad Shahar. I am the company chief agronomist, and Nebo Neiman, who is the water-soluble fertilizer market development manager. The webinar of today is related and triggered by the recent shortage in the supply of fresh vegetables in Europe, especially in England, known as the salad crisis. Please send the question you may have during the webinar through the chat, and we will answer them at the time that we dedicate to it toward the end of the webinar. Then when we are saying the salad crisis, then we are referring to those pictures that I think that all of us saw in the empty shelves in the supermarkets in England, especially in other places. And this is actually reflects today's difficulties to maintain a steady supply of agricultural produce, difficulties that are going to be and to stay with us or even to grow in the near future. Based on Haifa experience in the crop nutrition of more than 5 decades, under different growing conditions and cropping systems, we know that precise nutrition is directly influenced plant growth, development, and overall yield and quality. We also know that the usage of high efficient fertilizer, it significantly improves the nutrient use efficiency, and by that improve all the entire fertilization program and its performance. This is especially important when we are having an unstable weather condition. Those conditions are imposed challenges on the crop cultivation, such as biotic and abiotic stress in many cases. And we know also that precise nutrition is required in order to protect the environmental and ensure sustainability agriculture production. And this is an issue that I will come back to it towards the end. It's something that becomes more and more important. If we are summarizing what is meaning of higher nutrient efficiency, it's very simple. It's doing it, we can have higher yield, better quality, enhancing the stress tolerance of our plants and crops, reduce pollution. Here we are referring mainly to the greenhouse gas emission, but also we can minimize contamination of underground water, and we can protect better the usage of land and water. Then how we are actually dealing with the nutrient use efficiency. When we need to start first with the products, the most advanced products, and we call those family of products we call enhanced nutrient efficiency fertilizers, and also to use the advanced application methods of those fertilizers. Then if we are referring to the water-soluble fertilizer, we are referring to the main two methods of application. First, it's through drip irrigation, what we know as a fertigation, nutrigation, and foliar nutrition. Regarding to the second family, we are referring here to the controlled release fertilizer based product, and those products normally are applied on soil. In parallel to the advanced product and the application method, it is important to back up all this process with technology. And where we are talking about technology, we're referring mainly to the sensing and monitoring online that the farmer can have an idea about the nutritional status of their crop, and also the usage of decision support systems and expert software. I will come back to it toward the end of the presentation. Then what is actually the enhanced nutrient use efficiency fertilizer? Then here we are referring to a class of advanced fertilizer designed to optimize nutrient uptake and utilization by the plant. Those products are based on several features that, and here we are referring mainly to a high purity and solubility of those fertilizer, controlled release technology, stabilizer, or chelating agents, and others. Those features allow those fertilizers to minimize losses due to leaching, volatilization, and chemical fixation of different elements into the soil particles. And altogether, help farmers to achieve better yield with lower inputs and reduce environmental impact. A key and respectful member of this enhanced nutrient use efficiency club or family is a potassium nitrate. And this is because it's unique combination of macro nutrients. Here we're referring to potassium, and then to the nitrogen, in this case, in the form of nitrate. And also to his high solubility, and easily it's also can be absorbed by the root system of the plant. This superior profile allow a better absorption by plant, resulting in improved growth, yield, and overall crop quality. And this can be summarized by the farmer. It's optimize their fertilizer inputs, reduce environmental impact, and facilitated more sustainable agriculture practice. And now I hand over the stage to Nevo. Nevo, please.
Yes, thank you, Gad. Can you stop the sharing, Gad?
You have it.
Right. So thank you very much for joining. My name is Nevo Ne'eman, Market Development Manager for Water Soluble Fertilizers. And I will talk a bit about the benefits of potassium nitrate as a fertilizers. So as Gad mentioned, very highly soluble in water, easy to use, and provide with two macro elements that are very essential and uptaken by large quantities by the plants, so potassium and nitrate. If we put aside the classic formula of 13,046 and look at the actual elements that are being absorbed by the plant, so 13% total N equals actually 62% nitrate and 38% potassium, leaving us with 100% pure potassium nitrate product, which is fully consumed by the plant, and actually, if used correctly, will not leave any residue in the soil. So, in the coming slide, we will discuss about the advantages of potassium and nitrate separately and the synergies between them to other ions and cations. And we will start with potassium. So potassium, a key element for regulation of CO2 by opening and closing the stomata in the leaf. On top of that, potassium is also involved in water regulation in two ways. One is the uptake by the roots, and also, as mentioned, with the stomata, it keeps the gatekeeper of water losses through the leaf. So in that way, it performs as a very important key element to improve the drought resistance of the plant. Additionally, potassium is involved in the ATP molecule that is in charge of the chemical energy of the plant, supplying it more energy and ability to perform and manage itself under all conditions, and is involved in the synthesis of protein and starch. And potassium is a very known macronutrient that is improving fruit quality, yield, and total quantity as well. Okay. Comparing a little bit about different sources of potassium that we can apply to modern agriculture, the main three potassium sources will be potassium nitrate, potassium sulfate, SOP, and potassium chloride, KCl. So if we make a quick comparison, of course, the obvious bottom line is that potassium nitrate provides a superior nutrient composition because it is made of two macro elements that are very highly needed for the plant. But other thing that we need to look is, first of all, solubility in water. At the bottom line, potassium nitrate can be dissolved already 30% at 20 degrees, while SOP is very limited in its solubility. We will explain more later. And comparing to potassium chloride, actually potassium nitrate contains almost zero chloride, and we will also discuss about the negative effect that chloride can potentially bring to your crop. Additional thing is the pH. Potassium nitrate is available in a wider range of pH, either 4 to 5 in some products or 8 to 9, which is more common, while potassium sulfate is very acidic, and in fact the pH of 3 to 4 puts in danger some substrate and can cause damage to the root zone and the root itself. So we will talk about that in the coming slide. One more thing that I would like to mention is the EC. 1 gram per liter of water of potassium nitrate produces a lower EC compared to potassium sulfate and potassium chloride. We will mention more about that in the coming slides. Okay, so on top of being both of them macro elements and very critical for plant development, potassium and nitrate, K plus and NO3 minus, actually facilitates the uptake of both anions, negative, and cations, positive, by the plant roots, and the electrical affinity between them prevents the absorption of potassium to the soil particles and keeping it more available to your plants. So what you give to the plants is much more easily taken by them and preventing some losses of potassium. So in fact, one of the major advantages of potassium nitrate is the ability to support the uptake of additional cations such as magnesium and calcium, which are very critical for proper plant growth and quality and health. So once we provide potassium nitrate, we also increase the uptake of magnesium and calcium to our crop, resulting in healthier and much more productive plant and improving your sustainability in agriculture, which is very important for the long run. The effect over ions mainly relates here to another macro element, which is phosphate. So the increase in nitrate level in the soil will enhance the release of carboxylic anions, which in turn will release the phosphate from the soil, making it available for the plant to take it and absorb in the roots. So we mentioned synergies, and now we go a little bit into one of the elements which has an harmful effect on the crop, and chloride. So, of course, potassium nitrate is free of the terminal chloride and very safe to use in all growing methods and in all crops. Now, once the soil or the water contain high level of chloride, the plants take chloride and absorb chloride on expense of nitrate. and that can lead to several damages. Of course, plant toxicity, mostly common is chlorosis, that we can see the leaf turning pale green or even white, and on harder cases, even plant death caused by chloride toxicity. The graph in front of us shows that on the bottom X axis, the more nitrate that we provide in our solution or in the soil, actually the less chloride that will be uptaken by the plant, and vice versa. So when chloride is very common in your water or in your soil, you can suppress it by applying potassium nitrate and relieve the stress on the plant by taking too much chloride. And the more potassium nitrate you provide, the less chloride that will be uptaken. Here is a little example shown by avocado rootstock young plants cultivation. And we see if we go left to right. So a chloride to nitrate ratio of 16:2 or 8:1 actually results in a very chlorosis plant, not really developing, and we can see that the growth has already stopped. Also, 2:1 ratio in the middle, 16:8. Also, a very chlorotic plant, looks weak and not growing well, and will be hard to use as a proper rootstock. While once we get on the right-hand side to a 1:1 ratio, already the plant is much more vivid green, and you can see that it's still growing actively and has a good apical growth. So nitrate has the power to relieve chloride toxicity, and it's all about the concentration. So we need to consider that once we have a chloride pressure in our soil. This is a list of some of the crops that are more susceptible to chloride. Some crops are not susceptible at all, but these crops in front of you are quite susceptible. And you can see that even once EC levels in your soil reaches, or in your solution, reaches an EC level of 1, for instance, in strawberries, can result already in 33% loss of yield compared to the maximal yield potential. 10 to 20% in many other crops, and that can be a very significant problem as we want to maximize our profit. Another research that will show us that using higher concentration of potassium nitrate can save your crop under growing EC conditions. So the more the EC pressure is going on, the more the potassium nitrate will be a supportive tool to suppress the chlorides. And as we mentioned before, just to remind that the salt index of potassium nitrate is lower than SOP and KCl. And if we reach a very high EC of 6, still we can maintain the double yield once we apply a higher concentration of potassium nitrate. Okay. Another trial that was conducted in lettuce, on the left side of the chart, we see a non-saline treatment of EC of 1.8, representing the maximum yield potential. And once we look on the right part of the chart, so there were 4 treatment that were measured. The first one on the left, no potassium nitrate. 1 equals low rate of potassium nitrate, medium rate, and high rate. So the medium rate of potassium nitrate had some ability, not a total, to suppress salinity, especially chloride, and give us back some of the yield potential that we lost due to EC, and that protecting our crop against chlorine salinity and EC in total. So now we talk a little bit about the nitrate, the nitrogen sources that we have, ammonium and nitrate. We are talking more about summer period or hot climate, because when the temperatures are high, ammonium will accumulate in your roots and leads to toxicity and potentially plant death. Potassium nitrate, being ammonium-free, is preventing this risk. And let's see what happens to strawberries in this trial. So once we deliver 100% of our nitrogen in the form of ammonium, we see a very limited plant, not growing very well, if at all, and very poor root system. Moving on to 50-50%, 50-50 ratio between nitrate and ammonium already makes a big improvement on the plant with a much more developed root system, sometimes premature setting due to stress, but already a bigger plant, more healthy, that can produce. When we look at 100% nitrate in the total source of nitrogen, already we can see that the root is much stronger, the plant is developing, is not starting to set while it's premature, and ultimately will have a lot more to produce and much stronger capability to manage heat and stress by drought. Okay, so talk about some technical advantages that are not related to the plant but to our work in agriculture. And we know that mistakes are, though we all know the theories, mistakes can easily happen. Potassium nitrate can be combined with good compatibility with all other fertilizers. Unlike SOP, for instance, with the sulfates cannot be mixed with calcium. Therefore, even though we all know that part of fertilizers, but sometimes mistakes happen, and that could lead to very severe clogging of drippers and equipment irrigation. So SOP could be risky in that way, while potassium nitrate is very safe and no problem to mix with any other fertilizer. Additional technical advantage is the solubility. As mentioned before, already at 20 degrees, we can dissolve 30% stock solution of potassium nitrate. Even though the recommendations are about 20%, we are in a good place to be in 20 degrees already. And the higher the temperature, actually we can dissolve more potassium nitrate to the stock solution, while SOP is very low, about a third of potassium nitrate ability to dissolve in 20 degrees and keeps low even as temperature goes higher with no significant improvement. So this could be for farmers who use electrical steerer. That could be an easier way to solve the solubility issues. But as we know, a lot of farmers using water pressure and manual steering sometimes to dissolve the stock solution, and that SOP can be a big challenge. If we talk a little bit about the dissolution speed related to labor and the time that we spend on our stock solution to make it right, potassium nitrate dissolves much faster than potassium sulfate, make it ideal for the solution preparation and very easy, safe to use. So, okay, now we talk a little bit about the environmental ramification. Potassium in the form of K+ and nitrate in the form of NO3- are absorbed at a similar rates by the plant. So multi-K potassium nitrate by Haifa has a very minor effect on soil pH. On the other hand, the other source of potassium is different. So as K+ is absorbed by the plant much faster than sulfate, and the plant will release proton that is released to balance the electrical charge in the cells. And in light soils, soilless culture, using potassium sulfate could acidify the growing medium to a very low level that will damage the medium, or harmful pH level at the root zone, also in soil. Over time, salinity could be built up too. So to summarize this, fertilization with potassium nitrate has a very beneficial advantage of efficient nutrient uptake, preventing salinity buildup as nothing stays in your soil. It is all taken by the plant. On the other hand, SOP, potassium sulfate, can lead to strong soil acidification and over time salinity buildup, which requires a lot more washing and actual actions that will prevent long-term damage, but also it will degrade the soil properties, the root and the leaf scorching could follow by high salinity and too low pH. Okay. Here we are to mention a little bit about almonds. Trial executed by Patrick Brown in association with the PNA, the Potassium Nitrate Association, in the University of California, Davis, about 10 years ago, about the sources, the best way to apply potassium to almonds. Almond is a major crop in California, and for edible almonds is the main area of cultivation in the world, and the potassium fertilizing for almond was a big issue over time, and this trial was executed to measure what is the best way to supply potassium to the plants. Okay, so when we look at the results after 3 years of cultivation, the inclusion of multi-K through fertigation has a proportion as the best yield and yield result. Additionally, that was not mentioned, we had a 13% nitrogen use efficiency increase while we fertigate with potassium nitrate. To make a little bit more economical, some potassium sulfate was used, but not through irrigation. It was spread on the ground. But again, the application of potassium nitrate provided the best results and the most significant quality and nitrogen uptake for the plant, for almond. So in Haifa, we have been producing potassium nitrate for a long, long time, many years of quality, and our line of product is branded under the name of Multi-K. Okay. We have quite a big line of products. Some are for nutrition or fertigation or foliar application, some special grades that are designed for greenhouses, hydroponics, low pH, lower sodium. We have prills and granules for side dressing, and potassium nitrate that is enriched with other elements such as phosphate, magnesium, boron, sulfates, and micronutrients. Some of the more important grades that we see being used as potassium nitrate is, of course, Multi-K GG, greenhouse grade, a very pure and clean product. Multi-K Fast, which is a lower pH when it's needed, when the water contains bicarbonate or the soil has high pH, and Multi-K Resi, which is very low in sodium for recycling systems and sensitive crops. Also, we have a wide range of enriched product, multi-NPK with phosphate, again, zinc, magnesium, sulfur, and microelements by demand. If I try to summarize all of it into one slide, so potassium nitrate is a very efficient with plant nutrition, very clean product of two major macro elements. It alleviates the effect of soil salinity by suppressing chloride, save water as we don't need to wash the soil as much as we do with potassium sulfate or potassium chloride, eventually results in higher yield and better quality, and potassium is a major element for fruit development and fruit quality and total yield increase. Additionally, on the technical side, it is very convenient to use, as solubility is 100% and is quite fast and prevents some potential mistake by our staff and employees, and over time can improve the soil properties and surely not harm the soil properties. That is for sure. Altogether will result in a stronger and healthier plant and a higher yield. So that is from my side. Gad, I will return the ball to you. Thank you very much.
Yes, Gad, it's good.
It's good?
It's good. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Nevo, for a very detailed presentation about all those benefits of the potassium nitrate. This was a very nice summary. And now I would like to come back to if you remember, I mentioned it previously, the needs of the usage. In order to complete and to provide a full, precise and balanced crop nutrition, we need also to involve the technologies and Haifa, and we know that it's coming in an integral part of any precise and efficient crop nutrition program. Haifa, for the last 2 decades, has been investing a lot of efforts in developing and making available for users new technologies, expert software, and apps and different apps. Among those technologies and the software, I would like to concentrate now on 4. First of all is the Nitrate. This is a software that helps farmer to prepare an irrigation program. It can be based on quantitative, proportional, or for recirculation on different cropping system. The second one is the multi-match. Multi-match is a software that can help farmers to tailor-made fertilization program based on multi-coat and multi-coat agri. And the foliage is an app that helps farmers to define which is the right product and the right timing for foliar feeding when it's required. And the last one is the CropTune. CropTune actually it's a mobile app that allows farmers to learn about the nutritional status of their crop by using smartphone camera. And this is facilitated a real-time further tuning of our fertilization program. Then we can know actually what the plant is absorbed, and we can react and adjust the programs accordingly. Mentioning the Nitrate, I would like to make some sort of teaser or anticipate that just a few days ago, we are incorporate into the Nitrate a new feature, and this a full webinar about this new feature will be scheduled for mid of May. But this new feature, just to brief about it a bit, allowing the users to calculate the environmental and the carbon footprint of the generated irrigation program by the software, and this in comparison with the traditional fertilization program that is normally on stop dressing on soil. And here we can just have an example on the paper. You can see here we have the environmental footprint, footprint that include also the carbon footprint and more elements and parameters, just like leaching and more. And we have apart the carbon footprint. And we can see here that fertigation is more safe for the environmental and has less cost in this respect. Then if we want to summarize the whole webinar for today, then we know that in order to be able to avoid or to minimize the future salad crisis, if we refer to it, we need to apply a precise nutrition program to improve and increase the nutrient efficiency by using the enhanced fertilizer. And we need to take care to make it more sustainability of this. We know that adequate potassium supply is required for healthy growth, and potassium nitrate is a preferred source, as it was very clear in what Nevo was presented. Then we have a better nutritional composition, efficient uptake by the plant, elevate the effect of chloride and salinity. Here I can add that this also can elevate all this kind of abiotic stress that we are facing now because of the global warming and the climate change. It will become more and more severe. And talking about it's more easier for handling and for application. Then we know that the Haifa premium potassium nitrate products, the multi-K, as was mentioned before, digital tools. All these kind of digitals and technologies, as I said, is very important in order to make it, to fine tune and to make more accurate all our application of fertilizer. And we know that in the end of using the fertilizer, the right fertilizer and the right application method, all this will have a positive impact on the environmental issue. And this, as I said, is become and more awareness of it and more concern about what we can have if we not take care about this point. Then we are finishing here. Then thank you for your listening. And now we are open for the question session. Please, Joshua.
Hi, thank you, Gad. Thank you, Nevo, for the very best clear presentation. We have a lot of questions. We cannot answer about specific crops because of the time. We don't have such time. I will answer the first one that was some of you asked and make it for one. If this information will be available after the presentation, and if how to connect to Haifa representatives and where to find more information. So all our information is on the website, Haifa website. Google Haifa Group or Haifa Academy, and will get to our website. And in the website you have links to the Nutrinet and to all our software, and in YouTube you can search for Haifa Academy or Haifa Group, and you have the YouTube channel of Haifa Group, and all the webinars are there, and you can see this webinar. I had someone write that the internet failed during the presentation, so you can see all this presentation and others presentations. Okay, so other questions. I got something about the ammonium nitrate ratio. Can you explain more what is the optimal ratio and why the temperature influence this ratio?
Yeah. Okay. Generally speaking, because of the presentation, we come out with the input that is very important, the usage of the nitrate form, but we all know that part of the fertilizer has also contains some ammonium inside, and because of that, we need to find the ratio that can include the nitrate one side, but also the ammonium that we have in other fertilizers. Generally speaking, we can say that for intensive crops and the cropping system on substrate and light soils, we go for 80% of nitrate, nitrogen in nitrate form, and 20% of nitrogen in ammonium form. On soil, when we know that the two forms are, we have the ammonium, it's passing to nitrate in soil, then we can go even lower to 60–70% of nitrate and more ammonium. This is more or less, it's also depend on crop types, season, and cropping system, but generally speaking, this is the ratio that we are looking for.
Okay, Nevo, can you, one question is regarding foliar application. Can potassium nitrate be applied by foliar application?
Yes, Joshua, definitely it can be. Potassium nitrate of greenhouse grade can be used quite successfully on foliar application. Also, we have a potassium nitrate product which also contains a little bit of phosphates and another ingredient which makes the foliar absorption remains longer and more concentrated absorption by the leaf, called multi-NPK or Haifa bonus.
Okay, thank you. Gad, regarding the environmental application, why, how can it's, why Haifa Group is dealing with this, how it's affected the grower?
Okay, the issue of the environmental or the issue of sustainable agriculture, as I mentioned before, it's becoming very important issue. And we are in Haifa, or let's say that for the last 3 years, we are quite looking at that issue. And this is the reason that we came with this kind of new feature into that we add this into the Nutranet, knowing that agriculture in general is one of the bigger sector that emit and contribute to the global warming by the gas emission and etc. We are talking about 25% in total from the agriculture sector of the total emissions. If we are looking only to the fertilizer sector and the fertilization, it's coming down to a 3%. This is more for the crop fertilization. But in generally speaking, we need, as we know, the consequence of this global warming, we are all already feeling. And I think that we are, as a big company in this industry of the fertilizer industry, we also want to contribute to this reduction and to make the globe much more safer, safe for living. And this is our contribution to it. And it is from this side, but also we know that regulation is coming because authorities start to impose regulation on the usage of different fertilizer in order to reduce. Then we can see what is coming and we are preparing ourselves to these aspects.
Can you continue this question about other aspects, how it's will help the salad crisis?
Again?
How this crisis, salad crisis, how can better nutrition will help to achieve better?
Okay, we know all this, the precise and the exact fertilization, we know that when the plants are stronger, because this salad was partly because of the wave of the cool wave of weather that affect Spain and North Africa. And we know that when the plants, it's more stronger and healthier. When such an abiotic stress is coming, they can overcome such a stress better than if the plant was prepared. It wasn't optimal, it was fertilized and grow in optimal manner, then I believe that they can support and have better resistance to this cold weather, and maybe we can get another 5 or 15% of production, and by that elevate such increases. Then the idea is to keep, because of this problem that we are facing because of the climate change, to keep plants always in an optimal nutritional status, and this can help them to overcome those imposed stress.
Okay, thank you, Gad. Thank you, Nevo. There's other question, but it's quite some specific questions when the time is up about specific products with low pH, multi-K low pH, and low and clean without sodium. So I really don't have time, but again, go to the Haifa website and there is all the information. And if not, you can contact your the agronomist near you, and or send us an email. And the other questions will publish on our Facebook or media. And so I think for now the time is up, and I thank you all for coming, and I hope to see you in the next webinar that we'll have soon. I think it will be a very interesting issue. So bye-bye. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you all.